everybody, John R2 here, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. When we last left off, we were cross-examining our witness, and we got Mr. Hosonaga here. Got him on the back foot. We kind of surprised him, and he submitted some new evidence. I believe this evidence has poison in it. Miss Brett says, yes, it was the bottle. Let's continue on and see what the significance of this bottle is. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Ahem. Alright, we need to look at this bottle. Alright, let's look at the bottle. It's carbonated water the victim and Miss Brett shared on the day of the murder. It was on the victim's table. Alright, let's look at it. Can't find anything out of place. Here. Find anything out of place? This carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. Looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryu, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryu. In more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. That's it, right? That's all we needed to do for that? It's the label. Can we look at that? The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. And go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. Alright, I think that's it. So she doesn't know when the poor man burnt his wrist. Waiter brought my steak. Professor and I raised our glasses. As far as I heard, the postmortem showed no other possibility cause of death. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. Yeah, here's where we'll present the water bottle as evidence. Yes! What's this? The bottle of water? Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? He's reacting over here. Can we change the thing? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order, order, order. And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Giselle Brett. It was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile, have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we have only just signed an accord with friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. That we are. Grr. Ahem, if I may. I will silence you. Whoops, she said shut up. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector. And whether it contained poison or not. Of course. What, you did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And? What did you find, Inspector? Ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. Yeah, but you drank it. That's why you're like about to die. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. Okay. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. Oh, come on, get up. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who brought by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. Let me reread that. The accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point? Kazuma? Sorry. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Yeah, they sent her to go get something. Please, wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. Wow, can you be more dramatic? And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth? Don't know what that is, but we're going to find out, I think. Oh, to be continued. I'm in the middle of a Let's Play. Save? Yeah, I guess we're going to save. Let's overwrite this one. All right, trial part 3. (1:14 p.m.) Supreme Court of Judicature. Probably Judicature. Courtroom 2. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense, but why this sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ah, a judicial assistant? And a woman, no less. You were just fawning over that English woman, but a Japanese woman comes and you're like just, you know, all misogynist now? The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ah, you're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency, I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something? Written in English? It's Giselle Brett's research. The English woman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under a professor, wasn't she? So does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that? I've never heard that word before. Time's up. Prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Giselle's report has been entered into the court record. A report detailing an unknown poison that Miss Brett had been researching during her time at UMA University. Goodbye then, and good luck. She just disappeared. You have long enough, counsel. We cannot detain our English guests any longer. Let's look at a court record. And where's this stuff at? Boom. A poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Effects: instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry: the above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Wound. Okay. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it is believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. Anesthetic. He took anesthesia on his tooth. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. So he had his tooth removed, which means there would have been an open wound in his mouth if he drank the water and it had this in it that would cause him to receive a more lethal dose than someone else who didn't have a wound in their mouth. Okay? Let's go back. Ask the prosecution and defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. For you, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency? If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I have to politely decline. Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize that it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. So, counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? It's, what's this? Oh, I hit the wrong button. Highlight it and present.
Yes!
Miss Giselle Brett. We understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at UMA University doing research. Research by sheer coincidence, perhaps, into a deadly poison? What? Poison? Where are you going with this, counsel? Where do you think we're going with this? A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What? What complete and utter nonsense. Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist? Correct, which means no matter what test the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? Order, order, order. Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report, authorized by the visiting research student from England, authored, not authorized, curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The reports state that it's produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery. These aspersions are utter trumpery. To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used. Explain yourself, counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible. Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous. To the observer, it would almost look like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Council, actually contains this terrifying poison?
Objection!
This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing? What a happy tale for the defense. Ahem, if I may. All these facts, you think you're so clever, but you must be taught some... It is you who must be taught. Of course. Dear lady. So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them? I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime. That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules. Ha ha ha. What's so funny? Oh, excuse me. Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes. I don't see, why not? She's gonna drink out of it. You can't just pour it. You gotta be all bougie about pouring the bottle. Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. Wow, you are incredibly racist. Sorry? To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtrooms antics. It's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers. Wait, what are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. She doesn't have a wound in her mouth. Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no curare. The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying? Ha 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 ha. You look quite incredulous, little boy. But of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Grr. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Ah, yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how? How did she? She didn't have a tooth extracted. How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade, how do we say that? I'm gonna say charade, will make for an interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle. Doesn't there? Is that proper? Doesn't there? Does not there? But there can have been, because otherwise she would have been killed over dead. Or killed over dead. Come on. Renosuke. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water. It contains poison. The culprit did put curia poison in Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious?
Objection!
Fool, are you blind? There's no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. How? Exactly. Need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support this assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume the supposedly poisoned water unscathed? Not the collar pin, not the postmortem, not the photograph, not the business card, not the crime scene. The medical? Let's look at this side. So clearly records some kind of medical treatment. And then there's an entry for the day. Extraction with the use of anesthesia. Extraction, so he had a tooth out. Yes, sounds like just before we went for lunch, Dr. Wilson had to have a decayed tooth removed. Probably used laughing gas so he couldn't feel anything. It's the latest medical advancement in the West. Alright, this is the same text as before, which is why I'm not reading it. Okay. It says Hata Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I ever had in my life. And I remember, even though it felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. Brr, I'll never forget it. Never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have had only one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. Okay. That says that his tooth is removed, which I kind of want to use that as evidence, but let's keep going. Photograph, carbonated water, and then the report. I don't think it's the water. Let's look at the report. Hunter's reason used it since ancient times. The above mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound. Okay. So it says it has to be entered through a wound. Let's present this. If this doesn't work, we're going to present the medical report.
Yes!
The answer to this riddle was right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
It's not a valid explanation. No. After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone. Honest. I'm just reading Susado-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? Oh, well, practical applications? No. Where was it in the report? Special characteristics? We've been hearing a lot about this cuirae poison, and it's left me curious about something. Oh, counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever prey that they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of the hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please. But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey that the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Council. Now that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When Curare enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying and poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew Curare's special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little... Oh God, the swan is alive. What did she call us? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the swan. Well, Rio, turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer?
Objection!
All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it possibly... We got her tilted, she's gonna say the whole thing. Did her mask get bigger? I think it did. And her swan has gotten imposing. So the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with, some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce, Curare is safe to ingest. She's gonna say, how did the professor die? Well, he had a tooth extracted. But we're gonna get to that next episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, please consider a like, a comment, and or a subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.